The lights are off and away they go.
Extremely loose. He's managed to hold on and they get.
He missed the complete. That is crazy stuff.
Side Freitas is on the grass on the infield floor. He slides through. He tags Richard Eck.
Suzuka showed that the frantic fighting expected of the AMG SC has not left the series in the slightest. New names and old familiar ones are proving to be at the top of their game and have meant a tightly contested championship in all three classes is expected. But with today's race taking place on the very technical Phillips Island circuit, even the most precise drivers will be put to the test. Who can manage to tame the picturesque circuit down under? We'll find out soon as we get ready to watch round 2 of the Autobahn Motorcar Group Sportscar Challenge, and we're bringing it to you live on the Global Sim Racing channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak. With me in the booth covering the prototype and GT1 classes is Bill Soup Zahn. Keeping us up to date on the GT3 class is Michael Smith, though we know him as simply Smitty. Behind the scenes is our director Amjad Yaman, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Smitty, last season this place gave us an incredible show and almost always puts on fantastic racing. What is it about this track that keeps delivering such stunning shows?
Well, Joe, I think it has to do with, as you say, it's picturesque, it's fast, it's flowing. This is a nice place to have a race. But when you're in the seat, and when you're in the seat doing multi-class racing, it gets busy in a big hurry. As you can see on screen, you see that track map, 12 turns, and she's fast and flowing, like I said, but there's not a lot of traditional passing zones, so traffic does make things very, very difficult. And because of that, because things happen so quickly, as you say, that racing can be fast and can be a frenzy. But to get a little bit closer look, let's go ahead and jump on board that BMW for the GSRC lap guide.
Alright, we've got Kevin Brown in the GSRC BMW, so let's do a lap around Phillip Island. Doohan is up first, a ridiculously fast right-hand sweeper. Passes can be possible, but you need the draft to pull you fully alongside your rival. The embankment will help you keep your speed, so tuck it in tight. Drift wide and there's miles of sand trap to navigate. From there, the southern loop shows up immediately, and like many corners around here, it's a decreasing radius. As if that weren't frustrating enough, just to keep you on your toes, there's a nice crest right when you want to get on the power. This is actually a really important place to nail your exit, because after Stoner right here, you're braking heavily for Honda Corner. This is pretty much your best and only safe passing spot on the track. Everything else will be a very tricky proposition. From there, we head uphill to Siberia. Once again, there's lots of banking here, but your best bet is to square this one off with a late apex. That's because while we climb up the high side of the track and blast through 7 and 8, we won't let off the accelerator until we hit Lukey Heights. You really cannot see what's coming as you come around this long, climbing, 180-degree turn. So if chaos unfolds in front of you, you're blind. Keep it tucked inside once again so you can get set up for the other hairpin of 10. Guys will be overshooting this corner all day with a steep downhill braking zone. Weirdly, you don't want to track out, because right away, you've got the left-hander of 11. You'll be tentative on the gas until you get to the short blast to 12. Then feather the throttle around this heavily banked final turn. Get that sole to the floor as soon as you dare, because now we're dumped onto the Gardner Strait. As long as you didn't push wide, that is a lap around Phillip Island. That's a relatively quick lap here around Phillip Island. Guys will definitely have their hands full, as was mentioned, trying to deal with all the different turns throughout here. Very little space to try and catch your breath. But before we catch our breath, let's head over the championship situation, and Bill has the update for what that's like right now.
Well, Joe, with one round in the books, it would be safe for fans to assume that drivers who did well in the season opener will sit high in the point standings and vice versa. Let's start by looking at the team championships. For those new to the series, teams are made up of 3 drivers, 1 from each class, with each teammate's points combining for that team's score. There is an I-rating cap that prevents teams from loading up on top-tier talent. Last season's champions are picking right up where they left off, despite only one podium, that being from Troy Schuster, and that was his win in the GT1. Team WFO holds a 14-point lead over Talon Motorsports, led by Robert Tinsley in his prototype. A second place from newcomer Stephen McGarvey in the GT1s, and a third place from Dave Hill in the GT3s has TMC Carbon a point back in third. A pair of thirds in the fastest 2 classes from John Big Cheese Ulmer and Billy Smith has Autobahn West in fourth. And the return of John Pac-Man Paquin pulled P1 Racing into the final spot in the top 5. In the Drivers' Championships now, starting with the prototype, Tinsey leads, but privateer Patrick Wolf has his set and is nipping at Hot Knife's heels. Unfortunately, the moon must not be in the right phase because the Wolfman is not at Phillip Island today. Ulmer was able to keep Big Cheese, the cheese on the pizza, to be looking up at Tinsey and Wolf from 3rd. It's no surprise to see OFW Mark Ponick in 4th, but to find privateer Ben Lyken in 5th is a bit unexpected. And the return of Jason Gerard to this class is much anticipated. In the GT1 class, Troy Schuster went wire to wire for the victory at Suzuka and leads the points. McGarvey and Smith follow. Excelsior Racing's only top 5 driver is Paul Lindsay, and Brandon Postma of Talon Motorsports rounds out the top 5. And then finally in the GT3s, somebody put a quarter in the machine because the Pac-Man is loose and gobbling up the competition. It didn't take John Paquin long to get his momentum back, demonstrated by an impressive win in Japan. Fans have high hopes that Tony Lamberti of Lamberti Racing will be able to keep Paquin honest. Hill is in 3rd. Teammate to Tinsey is WFO Robbie Morrison. And then there is Leandro S. Schmidt. The S stands for suspicious. There seems to be some type of confusion from fans and drivers and even from this reporter if Leandro S. Schmidt is somehow connected to the Brazilian driver with the similar name but no middle initial who has so often dominated other series. Joe and Smitty, perhaps you guys know. If not, I will effort to find out. Be that as it may, a second race will shake things up, and maybe we could see Mean Beaver Racing or Autobahn East, one of the Mama Jean teams, Flying Snail Racing, Gone Broke Racing, Alliance Racing, or Team 8 or 80 slipping into the top 5 position in one or more of the championships. Joe?
And to slip into those positions, there's going to have to be some overtakes unless you're starting on the pole. Now, Smitty, there's you said that there's kind of a lack of traditional passing zones here, but there are some spots that you can kind of sneak by. And where are you expecting most of the drivers to try and outbrake one another or maybe make an overtake?
Well, actually, I mean, one of the best spots to try to make that happen, if you can get a good drive out of the final corner, it's going to be down that Gardner Straight into Duhan Corner, which is basically the first corner on this track. Now, that being said, if you duck to the inside and don't get it done, the very next corner, Southern Loop, comes up in a big hurry, and the driver can get you right back on the inside. But as we saw this time, or on this track last season, it is possible to hold side by side. So if you can hold the outside, you have another shot at it with so many corners being followed up by a opposite direction. All that being said, Honda Corner, turn number 4, going to be one of the best spots to try to get something done as you come out of that fast Southern Loop 2 through Stoner Corner. You get a hard braking zone into Honda Corner, which is going to be one of your best spots. One of the biggest trouble spots, but could be a passing zone if you're real brave, could be coming out of Lukey Heights and down to the hairpin turn number 10. But generally speaking, most people are just trying to hold on to it going through Lukey Heights.
Yeah, absolutely. Turn 10, actually called MG, as we were educated by Richard Losper, our favorite Aussie here in the Global Sim Racing channel. Put us in the know there on that corner name. Couldn't find it on any track maps, but he insists that that's what it's called, so we'll take his word for it. And yeah, Lukey Heights, it's just very difficult to maximize. Now, going through the classes and some of the stories that we're going to have to look out for. In the prototypes, Bill, I feel like with a lot of the sustained corners that we see in here, I have to imagine that the guys are really going to be looking at trying to keep the aerodynamics in shape.
I think so, and I think for that fastest class, this is going to be a shorter track than we saw last week in the season opener in Japan. And what Smitty talked about, I think it's going to be an underrated issue here, and that's a right-hander followed by a left-hander, and I think that's going to be really an issue when it comes to these faster cars going through lap traffic, because what has to happen is those slower cars, while they're asked to hold their line, eventually they have to cross. The line is to cross the track, and when you do that on one of these long straights, it's open for debate. So I think traffic's going to be an issue, and that's probably, when it comes to traffic being a problem, that's where Robert Tinsey probably has the best bet in the house.
Absolutely. We saw traffic be a serious problem around here last year, although they dealt with it a lot better than we expected. It still, however, caused a few tangles throughout the race. And speaking of Tinsey, I'm looking at the qualifying times, and I see a one Jason Girard, only a tenth back from him at the moment. So that'll be an exciting race. Going over to the GT3s, it was mentioned that the Pac-Man is back. And Smitty, it wasn't unexpected that he'd be up at the top, but we did expect him to have a challenge from Lamberti. Now that didn't quite go to how everyone really thought it would.
No, it didn't. Tony, we did have the pace, just not quite as much as John. And I mean, when John was here a couple seasons ago, he was cracking poles and wins fairly regularly. He was definitely the guy to beat. Last year it was Paul Darling showing the way. This season, I gotta tell you, it's not just the GT3s that this is the case. There's a lot of different classes this way. A lot of new faces, and a lot of new faces at the sharp end. Tony Lamberti, one of them in GT3s. We've got people all up and down the field that we do not see on a regular basis. And I think it could be anybody's guess as to who's actually going to come out on top at the end of this season.
Speaking of coming out on top, going over to the GT1 class, big story just erupting recently. Chase Hudson up at the top of the GT1s. That's going to raise some eyebrows over there.
No, certainly, yeah. I mean, remember, he was fast in the GT3s last year, guys, or last season.
Yeah, and even to take that one step farther, Smitty, Troy Schuster, who is the dominant factor there, sitting fourth in qualifying. Billy Smith ahead of him with Stephen McGarvey. Of course, we'll go through all of these when we do the grid. But I'm afraid there's going to be a lot of excitement down there in the GT1s. That's all turned around.
Yeah, and Bill, how about this Stephen McGarvey guy? You mentioned it in your points update that he had a really good finish in second. I'm not sure that he's one we were really watching before this season began, but obviously he's going to be a serious threat.
Big I rating, very big I rating in there, but that's not necessarily always tells the truth, because that can be doctored up by how you are in different classes. But man, yeah, he is definitely somebody to watch. And with what I'm seeing here, and with Schuster, and then of course Girard's out of here now. We talked about the P1s. Girard's up there. There's no Wolf today, but Jason Girard is up there sitting on the pole in the P, or sitting second, I guess, up there. So going to be very exciting, those top two classes.
Well, we've got about a minute left in the last chance qualifying, the way these guys do it here in the Autobahn Motorcar Group Sports Car Challenge. And each class has its own separate qualifying for 15 minutes. However, if drivers are not able to get to their computers in time for their class, if they haven't turned a lap and their own class is qualifying, they are allowed to come out here in the final 15 minutes to get a lap in to ensure that they can get their position on the grid. That said, if you qualify below the pole sitter of the class that's slower than yours, you are required to start from the pits so that you can start ahead of the other classes. They'll be released from the pits before the GT1s get to the line if you're in a prototype, or before the GT3s get to the line if you are a GT1 car. So obviously you will want to at least be fast enough and not have the ignominy of starting from the pit lane. Checkered flag is out, so it looks like these guys are just finishing up their hot laps, then we'll quickly go through the grid. Something we haven't done in a bit, I think we forgot to do it last round, is picks. And Bill, I'm going to start with you and those prototypes. Who have you got your eye on?
Oh, I think it's time for Jason Girard. I think Tinsey's number is up here. It's good to see Jason back. And then in the GT1s, my mother-in-law would be, I don't know if she's going to ever cook for me again if I don't pick Chase Hudson sitting there from Mama Jean Racing. So I have to be unbiased, but come on, there's a little bit of self-serving going on for me. Who do you like in the GT3, Smitty?
Well, it's hard to go against old Pac-Man, but I got to. And you know what? I'm not even going to go with Lamberti. I'm going to go with the defending champ, Paul Darling. Looks like he's going to come from P3 on the grid. He was fast last season until he had a little shenanigans go on. Let's see if he can't make something happen here in round two.
Yes, last year we saw quite an accident between himself and other competitor Dexter Castro, but it was a good fight till then. I think everybody has got their hot laps in, so let's go to the grid. Robert Tinsey is going to be on the pole, but Girard is not letting him get away with it, about a tenth between them. He'll be starting in second. John Ulmer not able to crack that front row this time, but again, not that far behind, about 3/10 behind our leader. He'll start in third. Kevin Santana will start on the outside of the second row, with Matt Quinn starting in fifth. Then it's Mark Jubinski after he ran an Indy 500 last night. I'm sure he's tired still after that. He'll start in 6th. Mark Wilson will be starting in the 7th position with John O'Day in 8th and Matt Owens in 9th. And then rounding out the top 10, Bill, we've got Chance Kelly.
And then Jeffrey Price and David Tejeda round out the prototypes, and the good news for them is they qualified faster than the pole sitter in the GT1, so they don't have to worry about starting from the pits. And that pole sitter in 13th overall is Chase Hudson. Now, outside of him is going to be the surprise driver, Stephen McGarvey. Billy Smith and Troy Schuster, the points leader in this class, sit 15th and 16th. The next row is going to be Robert Montero and Paul Lindsay. There's your first non-Corvette in the Aston Martin there. And then Dino Topic in 19th, and rounding out the top 20, Brandon Postman. Smitty?
After Postman, you got Leif Peterson, and then Chuck Chambliss, that's 21st and 22nd, followed by Sean Reese and Christopher Sherburne, 23rd and 24th, rounding out those GT1s. And a pole sitter for GT3's John Paquin. Alongside him is Tony Lamberti, is 25th and 26th. Paul Darling, 27th. Sheldon Rosenbaum, 28th. Ross Booth is going to be rolling out in 29th. And alongside him, Robbie Morrison. But Joe?
Robert Jackman will start the race in 31st, followed by Jim McInnes in 32nd. Then you've got Dave Hill in 33rd and Ryan Bird in 34th. David Henry starts in P35, followed by Kevin Rutgers, Kev O'Keefe in 36. Tim McLeish is in 37th, followed by Sidney Thomas in 38th. Robert Sklenka in 39th and Eduardo Tomede in 40th. I'll just round out the field here. We've got Sheldon Woloshin starting 41st. Now we've got Kevin Binkley, Ben Likens, Mark Schindel, Marco Buhin, and Patrick Fleming, and Pret Trocine in the server. Now, I'm trying to see if any of them are actually lining up on the grid, though.
I don't see any of them, Joe.
Yeah, it looks like those guys might be DNSs. They could be waiting to grid because they cannot click the grid button if they are behind their class leader.
There comes Brett Trozine, just popped in.
Yeah, it looks like Ben Likens will also be joining the show as well.
All right, so pace car waiting to peel off, and then we are going to get racing for 90 minutes today here around Phillips Island in the Autobahn Motorcar Group Sports Car Challenge. And you're going to get to watch it all live here on the Global Sim Racing channel. There he goes. The Mustang pace car accelerates away. Now, one of the things that we should talk about, because it's the last time that it'll be like this for the GT1 class, I need to check. I'm not sure if this is going to change for the prototypes or not.
I believe it is. I believe it's all, yeah.
All right, so then this is going to be the last race in the Autobahn series where the GT1s can take fuel and tires at the same time. So that will dictate strategy quite a bit in future races.
Yeah, we see that in the GT3s. GT3 guys have had to do that for a long time, where a lot of them we actually have one driver going off in the grass here on the start. Hopefully you can get back in there. There's a white Aston Martin. Another driver gets into somebody else off the grass.
That's
all kinds of shenanigans going on here on the pace lap.
Schuster just ran, or was Topic? Yeah, it was Dino Topic. Looks like he ran into the back of Billy Smith in the pace lap.
Yeah, you know what? It looks like a connection problem, because even though he ran into the back of him on my screen, he ghosted through him.
Yeah, he actually drove around. It looks like he drove around or through Montero and then into the back of Billy Smith.
We just saw on the replay.
Dino was talking about that he had maybe some connection problems. So hopefully it actually wasn't any real damage.
Yeah, crossing fingers that neither he nor, I can't remember which driver you said it was that he ran into.
Montero, and then into the back of Smith, so there were actually two other drivers involved.
All right, hopefully those guys don't have damage as we watch the GT3 cars work their way around. And Smitty, did you say that there was a GT3 car as well that went off, or was that all Dino?
No, it was another GT1. It was a white Aston Martin, and I couldn't tell who it was. White Aston Martin with a red stripe, it looked like to me.
Already guys running into trouble. I guess this track is so difficult they can't even make the pace lap without staying on. All right, the pace car has gone through MG. Now it's heading through turn 11 One more to go, and then we'll go racing. Watch this pit entry, though. You'll see just a glance of it, of that narrow lane as the pace car peels onto it. That is one these drivers have had to have practiced to really maximize it. But in the meantime, Robert Tinsey is going to have control of the field as they all bunch up and wait to go. He cannot accelerate until they get to this blue sign. Is he going to go straight away? Yes, he does. Green flag waves. Jason Girard is left in the dust, and in fact, he's already being challenged by John Ulmer coming up the inside into turn one. But as we saw, this is going to switch back as they come up to the southern loop. Girard gives it up straight away. Everybody getting single file. As, oh, we've got an accident, though. A bit of a spin. Is that Chance Kelly? No, that's Mark Wilson, actually. And I don't think he hit anything, but we have to go to the GT1 start.
Chase Hudson leads them into turn one for Mama Jean Racing in that purple and black machine, followed by Carbon Racing. We talked about him as Stephen McGarvey in second. Third place going to go to Billy Smith. Smitty, what do you got in the GT3s?
Well, they were all spread out pretty early there. Actually, there was a lot of drivers who were not bunched up at the start, so it's very, very clean. Only a couple of drivers side by side as they tried to go through the second corner. Looks like things are going to go pretty good here through Southern Loop.
Aikman already extending his lead behind him. Tony Lamberti is a little bit under threat from Paul Darling. Darling's the one we want to kind of keep an eye on since we know he's strong here as they all break down for Honda. Darling, Cordy ends up, and we got a car off. Is that Bird? That is Ryan Bird, who manages not to hit anybody miraculously as he actually goes off track to get it stopped for Honda, but he loses lots of places and a little bit of contact between himself and Dave Hill. Not the race that Bird wanted at the start. I can't remember if Smitty mentioned it, but it was Christopher Sherburne that went off in the Aston Martin at the start. We got some information on that. As we switch over to the GT1s, currently looking at Sherburne. Let's head back up to the front of that field, though. Stephen McGarvey in second. We know he knows how to finish on the podium, but can he move up to the top step in this series? Right now, he and Chase Hudson have extended a gap over the rest of the field and are starting to streak away.
Billy Smith in third. Then, of course, we got to keep an eye on Schuster now. Looking to the inside of Smith, not going to get it done. He poked his nose in there, then decided better of it. Gave Smith a little scare. That was a battle for third, and then watching that whole thing, Robert Montero. And Joe, we talked about the incident on the pace lap. It looks like that was kind of just ghost contact. I think it was good.
Well, thank goodness for that. And it looks like Schuster knows that he has got to hustle to not let these two leaders streak away from everyone, including himself, so that he can get up and fight for that win. But
let's go to fifth place in the prototypes right now. It's John O'Day. Oh, I thought we were going to chance. Kelly took a chance. Looked like he was going to try to do it into one. Sorry to interrupt you there, but my spidey senses were tingling there. O'Day in a battle with Chance Kelly for fifth position. Sorry, Joe. That's
okay. Meanwhile, we hear that Jubinski was off track and he is now in the pits. I'm not sure if he must have got some damage somewhere or... Oh, it looks like he was not only off track, did he have some contact with someone? Ooh, just the slightest with David Tejada. That was maybe about a minute ago. We're going to look at the replay here, Bill.
Oh, and guys, we have Chase Hudson off and parked right now. Chase Hudson looks like he could be done.
We're going to get to that in a moment as we watch
Jubinski, what happened was Matt Quinn spun in front of Jubinski, and then Jubinski collected him, and Quinn is also out, so both of those cars made contact.
Yeah, and guys, there's nothing to go to. It looks like Chase Hudson actually blew the motor as we're looking at the replay one more time. That's Jubinski going off and continuing out. And actually, pretty good save through the gravel there by him.
Yeah, Chase Hudson out in front was in the lead in the GT1s and just blew the engine and pulled it onto the grass.
Hey guys, we're at lap 4 here. Something I wanted to point out. Some of the reason why some of these guys may be pushing real hard right now is that it's only 10 seconds a lap between the prototypes and the GT3s. You're going to catch traffic in a really, really big hurry here. So these guys are trying to make hay when the sun shines. Is one driver going real wide. Whoa. Contact possibly on screen right there. Looked like we were looking at Ulmer sideways for a second. he's going to keep going. But yeah, these guys are pushing hard to try to make up as much time as they can.
That was with Gerard, who tried to squeeze his way past as there was an almost spin from Ulmer. And actually, we do need to watch these leaders in the prototypes as they have caught the GT3s. Currently, Tinsey trying to work his way past Brett Trocine.
So with that spin, I think that was a turn for it in Honda. That means Ulmer drops back to third. Gerard has taken over second now.
But there is a big gap between Gerard and our leader Tinsey, about 4 seconds between them. And actually, Ulmer is on a streak. He is catching up very quickly, unusually quickly.
Well, guys, I thought I saw a little bit of damage on that car after that possible contact there. We're talking about Jason Gerard, that kind of sky blue looking car there right in front of the black and green car. Balked a little bit here in traffic. I think there could be damage. We'll find out here on the front straightaway for sure, though.
Ooh, Ulmer getting very close as he works his way through Stoner. He's got the inside down into Honda. Can he hold it together this time? Get that spot back that he lost at this very corner? He does.
Yeah, I think I think Gerard might have let him by. I'm wondering how much damage, or if that prototype is running straight.
Let's quickly go to Robert Tinsey real quick in the prototype. He's coming up on a herd of cars here. He's got David Hendry, Kevin O'Keefe, Ryan Bird, and Dave Hill to get around. 4 guys pretty much in a string. Let's see what Hot Knife can do. There he goes around 1. And now Tinsey looking to get around O'Keefe.
Ooh, almost squeezed. O'Keefe, usually a very clean driver. He just did not expect him to try and charge through there. Now he gets past Bird.
Look at the closing rate difference, guys. That is insane.
Yeah, it's certainly got to be scary looking in the mirrors of these GT3s. He overtakes Dave Hill, and he's getting most of the way through these GT3s now. Sounds like Sheldon Woloshin is having an adventure. He was off for a bit. And it looks like that happened actually up at Lukey Heights. But he continues on. His Mercedes does not look damaged, just took a little bit of an adventure mowing the grass. So, and let's go to Tinsey, who's very close. Yeah, Morrison almost getting into him, but just giving him a car's width.
I'll tell you what, Bill, that nickname you got for old Hot Knife, that's about exactly the way he rolls, isn't it? Man, I love it. It's fun to watch.
There's nobody like him.
He is a brave individual, but he certainly knows how to walk that line, because most times he manages to get through this traffic successfully and retain his lead. He gets his way past Paul Darling and is still about 4 seconds ahead of John Ulmer.
Tell you what, Ulmer made tracks though, didn't he? He's got a pretty good gap back to Gerard.
I was just about to say, Ulmer must have actually gained some time, because remember he had that spin when Gerard was about 4 seconds back. He lost a little bit of time in traffic as he sneaks his way around Ross Booth.
Now, we got a spinner just behind Gerard. I think that's Morrison. Indeed it is. Morrison just got a little bit loose. He's trying to come back on. There's a lot of traffic coming. Looks like it's going to be all clear for him once he gets on here, though.
Now it's coming out of the southern loop. Oh, and he's got 3 prototypes all going around him, each looking for position, but they managed to work their way past. Bit of a battle between those guys actually right now. John O'Day holding off Jeffrey Price, who goes defensive from Matt Quinn. And these guys are having a battle in the thick of GT3 cars.
Let's jump up to Billy Smith right now. He's being pestered. In fact, here comes Schuster. Got a run on him going into 1. Don't think he's going to get it done there, but they're looking at him. Schuster is making tracks on Smith, giving him everything he could ask for. That's a battle for second position in the GT1s. Those guys are about almost 3 seconds behind the leader, McGarvey.
McGarvey doing good with the opportunity that's been given him so far. Still a lot of race to go. An hour and 20 minutes left on the clock. But still, he is, as we said, there's a little bit of a gap between himself and Smith here. And wow, look at how close that Schuster is getting to him, really pushing.
And Jeffrey Price got into a spun right. In fact, there was contact. Price and Quinn got together in the prototypes.
And those guys are heading into the pit, so it must have been significant.
Yeah, pretty big battle. We'll stay on this. We'll stay on the battle that's on screen right now.
That happened up into Lukey Heights, just for your information, that Price and Quinn got together. And it looks like it kicked off when Price just spun in front of him. There was not much that Quinn could do to take evasive action. We ride on board with Schuster, last race's winner, putting the pressure on, seeing if he can get by Billy Smith as he closes in. Looks to the outside. They've got a prototype coming out at the same time, but they're going to manage to avoid him. Now that pit exit is something to watch out for, Bill, because they've instituted a rule that you have to take that long exit.
That was really surprising. It felt like Smith almost just surrendered that down the straight. Took a defensive line into one, but didn't put up much of a battle.
And
meanwhile,
Quinn is going to get in the middle of this. I think he's going to be able to get out of this soon, hopefully. He's currently splitting them, and he sneaks to the inside of Schuster, and it's a done deal. Let's go over to the GT3s, because we haven't talked about it in a while. Smitty, has there been any action over there?
We got some action right now. If our director can get on, it's going to be Bird trying to make things happen with Dave Hill. It's they were side by side going into the first corner, had some prototypes get through, but Bird had that off and on. He's been hounding Hill, trying to make tracks back up to the front. He may have a shot at it here in Honda. See if he takes a look. There he looks to the inside, late brakes.
Ulmer is loose. Let's go to John Ulmer running in second place. The cheese is off the pizza, and there goes Gerard up into second place.
He's managed to hold on to third, though, and that was just slipping a little bit wide while dealing with traffic. It looks up in Lukey Heights.
Sorry to interrupt you there, Smitty, but Ulmer was flying, by the way. You guys had mentioned it. He got around Schuster again. So now he's going to have to run him down one more time.
No, and Bill, Joe, you just said that he held on to third. Well, they had actually gapped fourth place overall Chance Kelly pretty well. Now only about 2.5 seconds from Ulmer to Kelly. So Ulmer's going to have to grab gears again here if he wants to get back to Gerard. Now almost 8 seconds up the field.
Got another spinner. Leif Peterson just spun it in front of the second place driver Gerard in a GT3.
He's returning to the track in his Aston Martin. A lot of action. I mentioned that this track forces mistakes. Seems to be a lot of mistakes happening around here as we're having trouble keeping up with the action. We also...
Sean Reese is off now.
Whew. Also off screen, many laps ago we missed it. Roberto Montero had a big off, and he had to take a tow to the pit, so significant damage on that car.
And let me correct... Go ahead, Smitty.
Well, I was going to say what's really bad about all this is the fact that you make a mistake this early, you still have to make probably 2 stops to make it to the end. I got 3 wide in Honda. Contact between Gilberti and a prototype. If we can get to it on a replay. Just looking at it, Lamberti is going to have contact.
Wow, yeah, that was Owens who's trying to sneak on the inside. At the same time, a pass was trying to be made between those GT3s. Lamberti looking on McInnes. And you can see on the replay, it went all kinds of wrong. They have a traffic jam behind them. I'm amazed they didn't have a bigger pileup. A little bit of contact between, I think it was Bird and it looks like Mark Wilson. Whoa, and Dave Hill takes a wild ride and is into the barriers. This is down at MG.
Our director's really struggling here.
Yeah, he actually got a little bit of help as well here. Just a little bit of a tap right there, and that's all it took in the braking zone.
That was Mark Wilson of the prototypes that gave him a little touch. We need to give a little bit of a bonus or something to our director after tonight, that's for sure.
He's working hard.
We're hearing that Ryan Birds has entered the pits. This is way too early for a scheduled stop.
Well, you had said, Joe, that he might have gotten collected a little bit in that Lamberti issue. You can see the damage on the right front. It looks like that BMW has seen better days. Maybe it wasn't driving straight. A little early. He might be able to make something happen here on strategy, but it's going to be tough with still an hour and 15 to play.
Yeah, I think it's going to be more than a two-stopper, unfortunately for him. As we watch Jim McInnes in 5th with another car off on screen. That's Reese. He is struggling around here.
You know, most of the offs that we've been seeing have actually not been from contact. They may have had contact in them, but they started with a mistake, not like they got moved out of the way or anything.
And you know, something we should mention, this track, it's a little over 2 miles. We got 42 cars, is it, out on track? That is a lot of cars to be packed into that small space, and I think that's what we're seeing, why we're seeing so many cars get into one another, as you said, after someone spins ahead of them. There's just no room.
And for everybody watching it, you can kind of see where it looks like it's maybe a little bit later in the day. The conditions are actually not bad. It's only 70 degrees, partly cloudy, and 81 degrees track temp. So grip shouldn't be too bad for these guys. A little bit of contact again here in the, looks like the Lukey Heights area. Looks like everybody's able to continue. One small off. It's not on our screen. It's insane all over the track.
On screen, we're following a battle between Jim McInnes and Tony Lamberti. This is for 5th position in class as Lamberti takes a look to the inside. We saw this earlier. McInnes goes all the way off the course into the gravel, manages to bring it back on. Doesn't touch anything, but I think he lost another position, so 2 down for Jim McInnes.
Yeah, he just went a little too wide there and grabbed the dirt, and she wouldn't turn.
Meanwhile, Dino Topic not having the best of days. In fact, if I saw right in the chatter, this might be his birthday. He had a little bit of help, a little contact between himself and Postma.
It looks like he got loose, and then he came across and got into Postma, and then put it in the wall.
Yeah, he grabbed too much of that curb on the inside.
Hearing that Tejada also having it off as we watch Postma right now. A little bit of traffic ahead of him in the form of Ryan Bird was getting passed by Chance Kelly.
And Chance Kelly running 4th in the prototypes. That's a great run from him.
Now, despite this chaos, one thing I will note, our viewers can't hear it, but we can hear the chatter on the radio between drivers. There's a lot less this round than there was at Suzuka, and that is because they threatened penalties this time. Drivers are not supposed to be talking except for absolutely essential information. I think they took heed to the officials on that one.
Yeah, they would mute them for this race and the next race and then send them to their room without dinner. So Kinsey is off.
Race leader running into some trouble. He didn't hit anything, I don't think, just mowed the grass a little bit. He's going to try and work his way around the car of Tim McLeish. No incident there. That HPD behind him is a lapped car, Matt Owens.
And he'd been coming fast. In fact, he scared Fleming right off the track. I saw it. Fleming got so far out of the way, he almost went into the barrier.
And even in spite of that off, Jason Girard is already 11 seconds back. Now, we don't know if that is due to any damage that Girard may have sustained from early on.
Let's look at John Ulmer right now. He is in a battle. He's got McGarvey. Ulmer's in the grass. There's just no room for him to go. He's got McGarvey up ahead on the outside of the GT. There's a car in front. That car coming back is O'Keefe. Now O'Keefe is in the mix. Slinka out in front of all 3 of them. Ulmer looking for somewhere to go. O'Keefe gets out of the way. Now they go single file. Now Ulmer tried to get around McGarvey, and he's going to get that done, and then he's going to come across. Oh, my goodness.
Very close there with Robert Sklenka, but manages to avoid contact. Big Cheese asking when he can get a break. He still hasn't lost too much. He's only about 5.5 seconds from Girard, so he can still get in this thing. As we've seen, traffic is playing a huge role in how this race is playing out.
And keep in mind, McGarvey is your leader in the GT1, so he's got to get it going too, because Troy Schuster's back there running him down.
He's got about a 5-second gap back to Schuster in that GT1 class, and then there's about a 1.5 back to Billy Smith, the last car on the podium there.
Let's look at McGarvey right now. He's got a slower GT3 in front of him, and now he's got the faster prototype of Kelly behind him. Kelly running 4th in that class. So that's why I think the GT1s is the toughest class to work track. Oh.
He squeezes Brett Trocine, though. I'm amazed they didn't make contact and managed to get through there clean. But boy, I think Trocine was probably sweating in that cockpit as Kelly goes around the outside of Lukey Heights. And I tell you what, even though those HPDs, Smitty, have more downforce to be able to do that, I don't know that I'd want to stick myself in that position in case a car gets loose.
No, indeed. And actually, that's what I think we saw some of the issues before is those HPDs are able to get through the corners so much quicker than the heavier and taking a little bit longer to brake GT3s or GT1s, especially those GT1s. They're almost as fast in a straight line, but you come down to the corner and it takes them a little longer to get stopped.
Watching Troy Schuster, second place driver in the GT1s. Let's jump back to Leif Peterson in that same class. He is trying to hunt down Christopher Sherburne as he's closed up on the back of him, coming now through turn 11. And as they come onto the front stretch, you'll get a little bit of a draft, but it looks like he gets a bad exit as Sherburne starts to run away. That's going to lose him the opportunity. Now they come up to Doohan, very fast right-hander. Let's see if he can gain anything through here. Oh, and does he? Has a big mistake from Sherburne. Allows him to close, takes a little bit of a peek down into the southern loop. Nothing doing this time. Gonna get another opportunity as they accelerate off of that late apex corner. Fast sweeper of Stoner, and then they transition into the braking zone of Honda, and he just gets into the edge of him, and he bumps him off course. Leif Peterson gets on the radio, apologizes to Sherburne, but Sherburne is too far back for him to give it back at the moment. Hopefully he didn't give too much damage from that contact, and that's put him back in the clutches of Sean Reese. Although I don't think that's for position between himself and Reese, as Reese is a lap down. Now that we had a bit of a moment to actually watch a balance update where we stand with each of the three classes, Tinsey is our leader overall, and in the prototype, Stephen McGarvey, top driver in the GT1 class. John Paquin still leading the way in the GT3s. We haven't even really looked at John since the drop of the green.
Maybe because there's not much to talk about. He's just been gone, making things happen. John from the right at the get-go. Nice, clean, smooth, making things happen. Well out in front. He's got a pretty good gap back to second place in his class, Paul Darling. And then Ross Booth bringing out the round top three in GT3.
Smitty, I think the real disappointment there would be Tony Lamberti. We had high hopes from him, but he's fallen back now about fourth or fifth in class, huh?
Well, yeah, it's because he's had the John Ulmer of races so far right now. It's almost off as much as on, and not always his doing. He's hanging tough and trying to go back to the front, though.
Oh, poor John Ulmer now has a race type named after him as we go back to McInnes in six.
And Ulmer is off again, right as we speak. Bring it, get back on.
We'll continue to watch this battle. McInnes under pressure from Jackman. Both of them in Mercs. As they work their way towards the Honda hairpin once more. McInnes obviously feeling the pressure as he goes defensive, trying to hold off Jackman. Jackman looking for the over-under, holds tight to that apex, but nothing doing. Now they work up through Siberia. Now up to the top of the course, high on the hill. This is where we saw the accident last year between Darling and Castro, but these two are not close enough to have that happen. Cars slowing as the radius tightens up around Lukey Heights, now down to the last hairpin of the course into MG, and they're just about staying as they are on the gap. McInnes leading the way in that sixth position ahead of Jackman.
And that really is probably the closest battle towards the sharp end for GT3s. Everybody else is pretty well spread out. And guys, we're going to be getting pretty close to pit stops here as we've got about 5 minutes away from the 1/3 mark in this race.
Oh, let's go. Chuck Chambliss just was having a great run, running in fifth position in his class. Just put it off in the grass and let Leif Peterson go around him. So Peterson moves up now. That's actually for 6th. Chambliss drops back into 7th.
That happened up in Siberia, just on the exit of the corner. Very easy to get greedy on the exit there.
And now you see the overall leader. That's Tinsey. You might as well stay with this. Watch Tinsey get around Peterson. Peterson does a good job.
High downforce of the HPD allowing him to just pick whatever line he pleases through those fast couple last corners.
And you guys in the prototypes, there's not really a battle anywhere between 8 or 9 seconds between you. Tinsey's got a 15-second lead.
Well, it looks like Wilson has caught up to Jabinski. He's within about half a second, although he's losing time in traffic right now as he weaves his way past Bird, and then he's got Wilson up ahead.
Jabinski running 8th overall.
And Wilson! Or Sklenka, excuse me. Sklenka almost running into Wilson.
Sklenka going for the old Leroy Jenkins there for a second. Didn't quite work out for him.
Yeah, thankfully didn't run into anything. That Honda corner has been perilous. We've seen a number of drivers outbrake themselves and just skitter off into the outside grass.
I'm going to blame that one on oil on the track because I don't know where he was going.
Those new to iRacing, which is what we're watching right now, there is actually no oil out on the track, though.
Tell that to Sklenka.
Yeah, really. So I want to take a look at Billy Smith. He's starting to close the gap to Troy Schuster. It's down to about 1.3 seconds. This is for 2nd place in the GT1 class. Smith hasn't really let him go. So I don't know if Schuster is catching McGarvey, but he might pull Billy Smith along with him.
I've been watching, and it's really a matter of traffic that does it. I haven't had a chance to see these guys in open air who's faster. Remember, we saw Smith kind of surrender that position going into 1. He took that defensive line, let Schuster go around him. Ever since then, he's just kind of holding station back there. It goes up, and the gap goes up and go down depending on the traffic.
Behind them, I see that Chuck Chambliss is about within a second of Leif Peterson as well. He's going to work his way past Sklenka, who drifts over and then drifts back to the normal racing line. So it looks like it should be a non-issue for Chambliss, who cleanly outbrakes him down into Honda.
Well, Peterson had just got around Chambliss, but Chambliss not giving up the ghost. He's going to fight back.
And that Chambliss running that Corvette scheme on a Aston Martin. Confusing many a spectator, I'm sure.
And announcer as well.
As we're checking in on the various battles going on around, how about Robert Jackman? We saw him and McInnes fighting a little bit earlier, and Jackman not giving up the ghost. He's still within a second of McInnes.
We should be getting real close to the first pit window now.
Absolutely, just getting to within that 1 hour to go mark. Hearing that Sidney Thomas had an off, and he's now coming into the pits.
Yeah, he had a self-spin, looped it around. He was in front of Ryan Bird, but everything came out okay.
He didn't really give the best of parking jobs for his virtual crew, although that shouldn't affect anything for him as far as repairs. Meanwhile, who is that behind him? Is that the first of our pitters? And Ulmer is having more problems, serious problems. He is way off into the gravel. Oh, and that's not how I expected him to get there. We'll see in the replay. This is out of the southern loop. He makes a little bit of contact with, is that Sklenka?
It was Sklenka, and then then the car took a little bucking bronco ride through the alfalfa.
We're going to watch the onboard as the wings on that car doing the reverse at this point and sending him airborne. I can't tell if he quite touched him.
Yeah, but even if...
It looks like a hardware failure.
Yeah, because if he made contact, then it was several seconds before luckily he just took off.
Yeah, that explains why he just, peeled off and then came to a halt, but he's come back on. Before he towed, he did make it back on track. He's out of the car, though, now. I'm guessing trying to resolve his issues. Oh, but he's out. He is... Oh, he's back in now. Trying to see if he's going to return to the track as we switch to our leader, Tinsey, who is now just over 17 seconds ahead of second place, Gerard.
The good news for him, for John, if he can get that fixed quickly, it's right in the pit window. It's probably not the worst time for him, but what that does is move Chance Kelly up into that podium spot.
And what a race for Chance Kelly. I'm
Absolutely.
trying to remember the last time he's been on the podium, if at all. Have to check the stats from last season.
He was at the sharp end a few different times last season for sure. What
Takes evasive action for Ben Likens. Ben Likens was sideways across the track. That was an unusual spot, but credit to Ben for holding his brakes there. Actually, no, he put himself back onto the track, and I guess he saw that, and he spins again, and that nice retro silk cut livery, which unfortunately is not helping his car handling much better down into MG there.
And guys, we do have our first pit stop starting to happen right now, at least in GT3s. I know Sheldon Rosenbaum pit out of P4 when he came in. We got a lot of other drivers starting to make their stops, starting to look down pit road, as it is just past that 1/3 mark.
So scheduled pit stops now taking place. Gerard has come and taken his stop. Now the good news for Gerard is they do have a spare car, and if it was damaged that was slowing him down, he should be able to take it.
And if he has a fresh car, which it looks pretty clean right now, that's gonna not bode well for anybody else in that class, because Gerard can go real fast when he's got a good piece of equipment underneath him.
Let's see what he can do now that he's had his first stop. Chance Kelly as well taking his. Our GT1 leader, Stephen McGarvey, is coming in for his stop, and Tinsey is right behind him. Schuster, P2 and GT1s, he comes in. Ulmer exits out of his stall, so he's gotten his problem solved. He's taken his pit stop, assumingly, and he is back out. Where is he on the timing and scoring? He is 11th in class.
Yeah. And everybody ahead of him is running, but he is on the same lap as some of those guys. Wilson, Owens, and Tejeda.
Whoop, and Ulmer once again making an off-track excursion.
Yeah, well, guys, it might be fixed-ish. It might just barely be rolling. We don't know what kind of condition that program is in.
Guessing it's something with his wheel with the way that's been going on. Just ahead of him, Sheldon Lotion off track. And Tinsey had contact from, I think, Ryan Bird.
Oh, that could have been so much worse there as he's getting going. If this replay goes long enough, we might be able to see his rejoin. Couple of close calls.
Tinsey trying to get out of the way, put it well off onto the grass and lost control.
Yeah,
sorry, not Tinsey. I mean Bird.
Bird,
trying to get out of the way.
Yeah.
I was going to say, I don't think that was either car's fault, really. It's just Bird lost control, and it was a bad positioning for Tinsey. They caused a lot of cars to scatter as Tinsey tried to get himself turned around.
So let me give you a little interval now. So it's 5.4. He lost about 10 seconds of that lead back to Gerard. So we'll keep an eye now on how that plays out.
Here's the really bad news for Tinsey, is that took place right as he exited the pits. So if he sustained any damage, he's going to have to deal with that until his next pit stop. And Gerard, remember, could have just gotten a fresh car. So, oh, how the tables may have turned. Meanwhile, currently the third place is John O'Day, but he is coming in for his stop as he has not pulled in yet. And there you could see that pit entry, just how much it weaves and how thin it is.
And that puts Quinn into third, but he has yet to make his pit stop as well. So we're seeing if Chance Kelly can get back up there.
Meanwhile, that battle between McInnes and Jackman still not over. Those guys have had magnets in their cars holding each other together out on track. So come around to complete yet another lap. Going to be starting 24.
We got Lamberti in from 4th in GT3. He was starting to make inroads. He might have a shot at podium if things go his way.
There you
Top
can see,
3 still staying out in GT3 though.
I was just about to ask whether or not Paquin has stopped yet. You can see it all by his lonesome, basically. Paul Darling, though, keeping him within about 4 seconds, 3.5 seconds. I'm sure Paul would like redemption, be able to get a win that he was so close to having last year.
I've been keeping an eye on those two guys. The pace between the two of them is pretty good. The traffic hasn't played to Paul's favor too much. He's been within about a couple seconds at his best, but different ride for him. Remember last year he had the roof. He had that different deal, so he's trying to get used to the car this year.
Oh, and the battle is on for the lead. Tinsey must be damaged or that or run into some traffic along the way, because look at Gerard now within under half a second, closing in and threatening.
Well, that tells you just how much time Tinsey lost with that whole debacle. That put Gerard back in the game and with a fresh car now.
Gerard smells blood, trying to run him down. He lost some out of the exit of Siberia as Tinsey tries to give himself some breathing space. I wonder if he caught up with him more due to traffic. We're hearing that maybe Tinsey had an off. So...
Well, yeah, Tinsey, remember he had that deal with Bird and then got going again. I wonder if he had another one besides that, because that's definitely where he lost most of his time.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering, if there was a second one that we had missed, because he's starting to peel away.
And guys, I got to update you on Troy Schuster. Now, after the pit stop, Schuster came right out in front of Billy Smith. And the very first time on the lap out, when they went down into Honda, Smith got into the back of him and turned him around. So Schuster now has fallen back to 4th. Brandon Postma has moved up into 3rd into that.
And guys, let's go back up to P1, because Tinsey got held up by traffic once more, and Gerard is now within 2/10. He's within the draft, coming down to Honda corner. This could be one of his few opportunities, but he doesn't send it in. Holds in line. Hearing that Gerard may have damage from a little bit ago, since after his pit stop, could be damage on the left rear.
Right, that's where Billy Smith got into the left rear, turned him, and that's why he was running to second, came out just in front of Smith. So Smith got into him. Schuster then lost that position to Smith as well as Postma. So as we're watching that battle on now, as you're looking at Gerard, just to update you what's going on behind McGarvey in the GT1s, it's Smith, Postma, and Schuster, and they're not really that close together.
But actually, on screen, we've been staying on the battle for the overall lead.
Right.
As Tinsey, quite a bit of traffic. Unfortunately, this is going to box Gerard as he gets caught behind Tim McLeish and John Paquin. And look at that gap extend. This is the nature of multi-class racing, and Gerard has to do it all over again.
That's a tough spot about that pit exit there. It dumps him out right in that outside line. Even though Paquin stayed far left, it's still going to end up being in the way as you come around the backside of the corner. Just nowhere for Gerard to go.
And we don't have to go there, but I just want to report that Ulmer has made it around Ben Likens now. That puts him into 11th position. He's got 34 seconds to get up to Matt Owens. I'll watch that as the race goes on over the next hour.
Meanwhile, Jim McInnes has come in and out for his pit stop. Robert Jackman has not yet. So we'll see how that battle plays out in the pit stops. And in fact, Jackman is coming in right now.
Yeah, we saw it on that replay. That was actually Paquin, who had just finished up with his stop. He was our GT3 leader, and right now, relinquishing the lead is Paul Darling. He's just getting done with his service right now. We're going to keep an eye on him with that little bit of shenanigans. I wonder how close it's going to be between Darling
and Jackman misses his pit stall. Sorry to interrupt. In fact, he misses it twice. He backed up and then had to pull forward again.
I think they call that doing a Smitty right there. That's what that is. That's messing it up like me. I did last night. But yeah, going back to our GT3, we've got him on screen right now. John Paquin. He got the pit stop. He was actually the second one to do it in the top 3. First Booth did his, then Paquin, and then Darling, in that order. Paquin does have the lead once again.
Yeah, the gap between Paquin and Darling right now about 10 seconds, so Darling is not threatening. They see the Team OFW car on screen.
But an 8-second difference in their pit stop time there between the two of them as well.
Jackman is coming out of his stall now, and I'm going to guess that he has lost touch with McInnes. And in fact, yes, he is nowhere near to McInnes at this point that I'm seeing. Or is he actually? Or is McInnes behind him? Did McInnes take a long stop? I wonder if McInnes took tires.
I think he did. His is a 240, and the top 2 guys did it in 212. That's got to be tires.
Something seems to have happened to Chambliss.
Well, he was saying that he's lost his brakes. I'm not sure if that's possible.
Whoa, actually, we might want to replay this one. Almost got into the back of John O'Day at Honda. Just avoided Lamberti, and this was about, I want to say, 40 seconds ago.
And get Tinsey off and on.
We'll go to Tinsey after this as we watch Chambliss coming down. Let's see, through the southern loop, it looks like here. You can see all the traffic around him. Up into Stoner Corner. Fast left-hand sweeper. Here's where the line can get confusing with other cars, and as he went to what should be the inside, brakes lock up, and he just manages to split both cars. Let's go to Tinsey now in the replay. Oh, and it looks like we're coming back live.
Yeah, it was just if we don't get it, it's all right. It was basically just it was going to that Honda corner, and he just got a little bit loose, kept going.
You know, I want to say this is the most trouble we've seen Tinsey have in quite a while. Usually he's quite flawless out there. And that's run the gap down between himself and second place Gerard to about 1.5 seconds.
Yeah, it's brutal for me to keep an eye on because it gets up to 4 seconds, then he makes another mistake and Gerard's back. Then I think he's faster if he can just keep the car on the track.
Chance Kelly had an off. And I think that may have relinquished third place unless Quinn was already ahead of him.
Quinn's in the pits right now, so I think Quinn is probably, that might be his first stop.
As we check in on Chance Kelly, now back up into third. In the meantime, Brett Trocine had a very interesting off. We may want to go look at this one. This is something unique to this course, Bill. As I think it was about a minute ago that he managed to, we're seeing just the tail end of it. He managed to leap up one of the barrier hills, or whatever you want to call it, at the side of the road. It's a sort of the old school style way of keeping the crowd safe.
Safe-ish.
Safe-ish, yeah. Little berm on the side of the road here. This is coming up through Siberia. I think this is where it happens. Yep, just oversteer, and then whoop, up the dirt, and you're kind of stuck there after that, at least until you can travel down.
There he found his way back on.
Yeah, I know we're getting a rally cross car, but I think poor Brett was jumping the gun on that.
Well, kudos to iRacing for actually filling in all the track right there. You get to some of those tracks where you just go off into space.
There is an invisible wall around here somewhere. I've seen cars hit it. I'm trying to remember what part of the track it's on. I think it's coming out of 11 as we jump up to Chance Kelly. And is this a battle actually between himself and Santana? Yes, it is, for third place.
These are two guys who are familiar with each other. They often race in about the same pace, but usually it's about 6th or 7th that they're fighting for. This is for podium, and look at Kelly is way loose and now coming back on.
Tim McLeish runs into him trying to get back onto the track, not expecting two cars to be coming through there. Let's look at the replay. Poor Tim McLeish. I think he didn't know that they were going to be too wide.
Okay, usually I would put the blame on the guy coming back on, but yeah, McLeish left room for the guy to go around. He had no idea that they'd be battling for a spot. That's a tough break, Tim.
As we come back to live, you can see Tim McLeish is able to carry on. Probably a little bit shaken, probably a little bit damaged after that.
That's just a perfect storm where you have two cars going side by side there, and then the McLeish comes on, leaving plenty of room.
Oh, yeah.
But not for two.
I wouldn't have blamed him at all. This has to be one of the most chaotic races we've called for this series yet, and that's saying something in the Autobahn series.
Yeah, and we've only just gone past halfway.
And that's really too bad for Kelly. He was having a great run. Now he's fallen back into fourth. Santana comfortably in third.
All right, let's go through the order. Let's go through the podium of each class here now that we're halfway through. Robert Tinsey is still your leader. He's had some trouble along the way. He's been holding off Jason Girard, who's still about 4 seconds back. Kevin Santana, currently your final podium spot in the prototypes. What's the GT1s looking like, Bill?
Well, McGarvey's out there having a nice drive, not really having any issues. He's 9 seconds up on Billy Smith. Now, Smith did a little rough pass on Schuster that knocked him down to fourth. That put Brandon Postma in third, and Schuster is trying his best to get up to Postma back onto that podium spot. Spitty, what's going on there with John Paquin?
John Paquin's actually having a pretty good smooth run. Aside from that real quick close call he had earlier coming out of the pits, it's actually been pretty smooth for old John Boy. In second place, it is Paul Darling. He's actually been having to deal with traffic more than anybody else. He's had a pretty good cushion forward and aft. And then you got Ross Booth in third place once again. Pretty good little gap between each one of the top three.
And maybe we could put the camera on David Henry in the GT3s, running in fourth. It's a great run from him.
Yeah, it is a good run for Henry. He's one of those AM drivers there.
But he's got to be careful because he has Robbie Morrison behind him.
Oh, and Morrison knows how to wheel a car. Right now trying to stalk David Henry for that fourth position, trying to make up for, I believe he had a mistake earlier on in the race, but at this point it's kind of like saying who didn't have a mistake.
And then in the mix is Chuck Chambliss was having a nice run, still a pretty good run, running in fifth position in his class in GT1s, right behind Morrison right now.
Just past the halfway mark of this race. Our leaders all pretty clear of each other at this point. So no battles really for P1, although as we've seen, that can change in a heartbeat up in the prototypes. Now David Henry's had to go a little bit wide for Chambliss. That allows Robbie Morrison to get right up behind him. He's going to need a good exit in that Merc off of the southern loop. He gets a decent one, but he drops back just a little bit from Henry as they come up to Honda, and I don't think he's close enough for an attempt.
Well, Morrison had the pace and quality, too. He actually qualified a good few spots in front of Henry.
As this has been going on, Woloshin has been off twice, I think maybe even 3 times.
I was just going to mention it. He's having a lot of fun out there.
This has got to be one of the most difficult races I've seen for these drivers. Just the amount of mistakes that we're seeing is incredible. Oh, and who is that off in the background? Wow! Whoever that was held on to it in miraculous fashion. That's Sidney Thomas. I want to see an onboard of this from Sidney. Went wide up in Loogie Heights. Not an uncommon mistake to make. Here we go. But sideways through the grass and managing to keep it from looping around as it comes down the hill. That's a good feat.
Nice job, Sidney.
Save of the day to Sidney so far. Still a lot of racing yet to go for someone to steal that away from that Mama Jean racing machine.
Guys, things are heating up. If we can get to it between Henry and Morrison. They got a prototype getting through, but these guys are nose to tail. Now side by side.
Morrison to the outside in the red and black car, trying to see if he can get it done around Honda. Maybe he's going for the over-under, squares off the exit, but it's not enough.
Yeah, you know what, to Bill's point too, AM driver Henry having a great run. This is going to be number one AM driver in the class right now for him.
And impressively, he's actually holding off Morrison right now. So I wonder if they're going to start thinking about maybe moving Henry up to the pro class at some point. Let's stay on this. O'Day had an off, we're hearing.
Stay on that battle as well. I just want to update you. John Ulmer now has got around Matt Owens to move into 10th spot. Next on his list is David Tejeda.
Whoa, and there's a car off in front of these guys. That's Brett Trocine. He's going to hold up Henry just a little bit, and that's going to give a great opportunity to Robbie Morrison as they come down the front stretch. But did Morrison lift there?
He must have. Yeah, the amount of time that he lost there was definitely a lift. But they're not going to want to lift too much because not too far behind, here comes Tony Lamberti. You can see him just coming into the screen. That red machine with that kind of a light blue stripe in the middle. He's got those blue wheels. Lamberti's coming fast.
Oh, and Mark Jubinski must have had a serious off. He was in the tires. He's still going now. Must have been a while ago.
This is really getting excited up there because we know Lamberti's quick and he is coming. In fact, there he goes around the outside of Morrison. Thank you very much.
Wow. Oh, it's not done yet, though. Morrison's going to hold on to it. And we saw this last season. Side by side up the hill can be a little dangerous. Oh, a little bit of contact. Morrison goes off, tries to hold on to it, gets it slowed up just in time for Lukey Heights. Whew, I was holding my breath there because I knew that this took two of our leaders out last time. I would have thought that Robbie would have learned his lesson from Castro and Darling last time. Meanwhile, we're hearing that Sherburne and Peterson might be having a little bit of a ding-dong battle. They're coming onto the front stretch in the GT1 class as they lap Robert Jackman.
This is a battle for 6th overall. Look at the run that...
Oh, and he splits them! Looking to the inside, down through Doohan, and it looks like Peterson has got it done. That was brave stuff.
Peterson moves up to 6th.
And these guys are actually just a little bit further down the track from the GT3 battle we were watching, so we're going to have them all at the same time. As Lamberti up the inside, contact, Lamberti.
We're going to watch the replay of that. I think he did not expect to close that fast. The car that he got into was David Henry.
That's who he was battling with for position, so...
Yeah, from downtown.
Now, did he outbrake himself, or was Henry just stopping that much sooner?
Yeah, I'd say that was probably not on Henry there. Henry was doing the normal thing. I think Lamberti came from downtown there, just couldn't quite get her woed up in time.
That's too bad. Henry was having such a great run.
Yeah, he still ain't doing too bad, but he's going to have to fight off a few more guys here.
Well, he's pitting now. I wonder if he got a little bit of damage from that, because this is a little early. He could still go far from here.
I think it's probably get there. I think 36 in the GT3. Probably get home from here.
As he brings that BMW to a halt. Or is he in a Merc, actually? I think he's in a Merc, yes.
I think we got Bird right in front of him in the pits as well.
Let's go to Matt Quinn, who is caught up to Chance Kelly. About a second between these two. Right now they're split by Leif Peterson.
Kelly had that contact and fell back and lost 3rd position to Santana. Now he's trying to hold on to 4th. Matt Quinn, a very, very quiet driver. Just doesn't ever get into a lot of trouble and always sneaks up. Having another classic Matt Quinn race.
Now it sounds like, I think Ben Likens has DNF'd.
Yeah, he's just disconnected there, so the Likens is out.
And it's unfortunately because he made contact, and that was with Sheldon Rosenbaum. Hard contact quite a while ago, though, in Siberia. Sheldon just started to spin in front of him, and unfortunately there was no place for Likens to go.
And here's your John Ulmer update. He's got around David Tejeda now.
Meanwhile, going to pass for position. Chance Kelly working on Matt Quinn. That's down into turn 1 in Doohan. Can't quite get his nose in, though, so he backs out of it.
Just to follow up on Ulmer, he's up to 8th position there as we watch Kelly and Quinn go at it. Kelly tried to fight back, but Quinn out there in 4th now. I think we'll see if he can run down Santana. It's about 14 seconds to the next spot up.
Quinn noted for making quite a bit of improvement over last season in his pace and consistently getting podiums throughout. And if I recall correctly, he beat John Ulmer in the points, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. Just nipped him at the end. Again, was a matter of consistency over speed.
All right, we're just about ready to hit that 2/3 mark. Just 4 more minutes, then we're going to see a lot of cars probably coming in for scheduled stops. Last one of the day, we expect. Oh, and Postma has an off from 4th place. He's going to, in fact, I think he lost 3rd to Schuster.
Yep, Schuster was about 4 seconds back. Wasn't able to make up any time. So that was the only way Schuster was going to get him.
And that was driver error as the rear comes around in Honda. Doesn't hit anything, but definitely a bruised ego.
You know, it looks to me like it's been the Aston Martins. That's like the 3rd one that I've seen where the back end swaps into brakes. One of these guys are just using a lot of rear brake bias and it's just swapping ends on them.
Could be the case. In fact, I noticed that in the qualifying that it was, I believe it was all Corvettes up in the top 4 or 5.
And right now, Corvettes are running 1, 2, 3 with Aston Martin's running 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th.
As we got quite a bit of traffic here. In fact, is this for position that we're seeing?
I think that's Gerard trying to make his way through right there. That's P2 with prototypes trying to get by.
It is, yeah, he's trying to lap David Tejada. That's what's happening there. But we have 4 cars in different classes all trying to figure each other out around this twisty Australian circuit. If you're just joining us, welcome to the Global Sim Racing channel. You are watching a frantic race in the Autobahn Motorcar Group Sportscar Challenge, round 2 of season 4. Billy Smith in 2nd place, as you can see, in the GT1 class currently. Not able to really challenge Stephen McGarvey, our leader for most of the race in that class.
Ross Booth coming in for his final stop.
That's from 3rd place in the GT3s there.
1st and 2nd right now held down by Paquin and Darling. And similar to the GT1's, Darling currently about 12 seconds off of John Paquin. Although I wonder how much of that has been affected by the early incidents that Paul Darling had. Could have been much closer, I'm sure, wanting to challenge Paquin, but Paquin looking to do like he did in Season 2, winning race after race.
Yeah, for the viewers at home too, you're looking at these windshields here on the GT3s and the side of the cars for both GT1 and Prototype. You're going to see on the Prototypes and GT1, they got those little dots that light up, 1, 2, 3. As you can see right through here, the HPD is going to get by. And then on the windshield here, you can see that 0-1 on Paquin. That means he is the leader. So you can tell what position these guys are in class by those markers. At least for top 3 for GT1 and Prototype.
The information might be slightly off in this series, though, since they have multiple cars and within multiple classes. So the Merc and the BMW each counted as their own class.
Right.
In iRacing, though not on our timing and scoring, we've managed to kind of rig the system up so that it should be correct.
Yeah, Tony Lamberti looking at a nice number 1 on his windshield. That's not really the case, Tony. But a nice run from Lamberti to get back up there, Smitty.
But yeah, if you can keep from hitting anything and
Right.
keep it on the black stuff, it'll be in good shape.
Meanwhile, look at this battle between Ross Booth and Robbie Morrison, I think it was. Yes. This is for the 6th position.
Yeah, this is going to be a little bit skewed because I think there could be one more stop coming here from Robbie.
No, I think Smitty, they both pitted. I think they're okay. Morrison came in on lap 36.
We saw both Santana off and Sheldon Woloshin off in the southern loop, another corner that it's easy to do that on. How about a driver we haven't seen a whole lot of today, but we definitely are very familiar with? Kevin O'Keefe and Sheldon Rosenbaum. They're in their own little battle for the 8th position and the GT3 class. There you can see Rutgers Kev. I think he's got his own paint now. I think he got that sorted out. Didn't have his traditional paint last round. Robert Tinsey, our overall leader, has come in for his stop.
Rutgers Kev came in, got a win real quick as he entered the series and said, oh, this is easy. Hasn't been close to smelling the champagne since.
Well, he had a little bit of luck on his side, admittedly. That was at Monza. But he made it work. You know, that was a hard-earned win.
So how about we put the camera on Jason Girard? That's what they do on network TV. They get all excited. He's your new leader in the prototypes.
And that's going to switch back. Girard, another driver, proud of his paint scheme and wanting to show it off. Tends to put his favorite anime, I believe, on the cover of his car. And he comes in for his stop. Hits his mark beautifully, down to the pit limiter.
Now, they weren't that far apart there, so maybe we can go ahead and look at Tinsey and watch him inherit the lead back. He's just going down into the MG corner right now.
Yeah, and traffic can sometimes play a factor as well on those pit stops and being able to leapfrog one another. So we don't know. I'm not sure if Tinsey had any traffic in there. It looks like it's mostly clear around him. Girard's still stationary.
There
And
goes
actually,
Tinsey.
yeah, Tinsey is well past him. Now Girard heads out. That gap is climbing quickly. In fact, it's going to be well over 10 seconds between them.
And Santana just comes around the final corner right now at 12, crosses the start-finish line. So Girard well out in front of Santana for third.
And hey, some credit to Santana getting himself into a podium position. The race is not over. He still has to hold on to it, but he's got a decent gap back to Matt Quinn, about 8 seconds. So he's looking relatively safe if he can keep his pace up.
The bad news for Santana is he needs to make one more stop. He hasn't made that second stop yet, but neither has Quinn.
So obviously starting to see pit stops kick off in each of the classes. Billy Smith, however, is coming in for his stop, we're hearing. Oh, no, excuse me. He was coming out, and as soon as we put the cameras on him, he was exiting from his pit stop, is what it was, and he exited the track as well.
Looked like it just got a little bit of grass on driver's left there as he was exiting.
He was really trying to maximize.
Boy.
He was flying out of that pit exit. I bet he's grateful for that huge gravel trap on the outside instead of a wall.
But what that means is I think he's lost that position now.
Yeah,
to
Schuster's in
Schuster.
second by some margin, but Schuster's off. Schuster is off in Siberia. Nobody wants second position. He's going to be able to get back on. Where is Billy Smith? He's coming around. He's able to gain some time, but it's only going to be about 4 or 5 seconds.
Now, Bill, didn't you say these guys had a small coming together earlier for a position?
Yeah.
In fact,
And
if I remember right, was it Smith and Schuster that banged doors at Watkins Glen last season?
I think Billy Smith's been in it with a lot of guys. He had a nice little battle with Dino Topich as well.
That's what I like. I mean, he does not shy away from racing hard. It should be fun to watch.
It was Topich at the Glen and then Schuster at Daytona. Right now, Schuster out in front. Billy Smith has been a little faster, I think, so we'll see if he can run him down. That interval's about almost just under 5 seconds. He's got his work cut out for him with 25 minutes to go.
Yeah, and when you get into that 5-second window, traffic can bring you together very, very quickly. In fact, Schuster's running into some right now with David Tejada trying to get around him, but I think he's going to be able to do it without hurting him too badly. And you can see all the different variety of cars up ahead of these guys that is going to come into play. Some GT3 cars of Kevin O'Keefe and Paul Darling, as well as David Henry, actually. All three of these guys, I think, battling for position.
And Paul Darling, you're a leader in GT1 right now, or GT3 right now. I think still
he
needs to make that stop, right?
Yeah, yeah. And contact there. That's
Tejada.
That was up in Lukey Heights. Manages not to hit anything after he hits that GT3 car. Comes back on. Did not expect to close that quickly, it looked like.
And that GT3 car was Paul Darling, your leader.
And Tejada decides to come into the pits after that incident. Darling stays out, though.
I'll tell you what, you put those two cars next to each other, the HPD and the Merc, and that Merc looks like a tank. It looks like it can take just about anything.
Well, if the Merc is a tank, then the HPD is a snowplow with that wing. You got to be careful the way it could get underneath the car and just absolutely lift it. As Paquin comes around to finish another lap, we're watching Darling still. There we switched over to Paquin. Should re-inherit the lead very soon, as we said, Darling has yet to make his final stop. Now with all this excitement, I was looking at our timing and scoring. We don't have anybody actually very close for a battle on track. But that could change as the pit stops continue on and guys work out their strategy. Some drivers, especially in that GT3 class, Smitty, taking tires on the first stop and then not on the second, and vice versa.
Yeah, you definitely have a lot of options with the amount of mistakes going on. If you can keep it on the black stuff and not have to worry about tires so much, you might have something. As Paul Darling coming in the pits right now.
Gets it woed up, but he actually runs into the cone on the entry. Don't believe there's a penalty for that unless he's sped.
Paquin just going through Lukey Heights right now, so down into turn 10.
And there you can see Darling into his stall as Paquin coming around turn 11. One more corner to go.
And Darling is off and away.
Wow.
Ooh, this makes things interesting. It's going to be very close.
Lamberti just gets by, but he still has a stop to make as well. So Lamberti, I believe, will inherit the lead. You can see it on screen right now. Coming out of the pits, going to be close.
How about that?
You're my boy, Blue. Come on, Paul Darling.
We'll have to send someone to see what their two tire strategies were if Darling took tires on either time. They've got a little bit of traffic. Is that Tejada trying to work his way around them? Yes, that is Tejada going by. It's going to bring them a little bit closer as he backs Darling up into Paquin around Honda corner. Paquin not making a move this time by. Now they circle their way back around Siberia as they climb up the hill.
Guys, I'm thinking neither of them have taken tires, just looking at the deltas there.
Oh!
Paquin's already closing, but he gets chopped off by Darling, taking no prisoners.
This is a 20-minute sprint race right now on old equipment.
Well, and Paquin going just a little bit wide, coming around Lukey Heights, but manages to keep it out of the grass. It was looking a little scary. Nice and tidy around MG corner. And they come back to the start-finish line. Paquin's going to get a good tow after they get around turn 12.
We've seen Darling have trouble up there before with Castro last season. It almost happened again. Look at the run, though, that Paquin has now.
Closing in, look into the inside as they come up to Doohan. And there's a lift from Darling. He lets him through.
Yeah, still a lot of time to go. Maybe you want to hang out behind him or have another shot later.
Maybe he's short-filled to get ahead, and now he'll just tuck back in behind and try to save a little fuel.
He's had the pace for him. I mean, they've been real close in lap time, so there's nothing between these two guys here on race pace.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Smitty, because it was just the circumstances that had Darling back so far.
Let's stay on this, but for those wondering, the gap between our two prototype leaders, Tinsey and Gerard, is about 10 seconds, so Gerard not threatening at the moment. We'll keep an eye on it in case that goes down.
But John is digging, isn't he? He's starting to pull away from Darling just ever so slightly.
I don't doubt that John is giving it his all. He's not a driver I've known to try and do things halfway. You can tell that Darling is in no mood to give up anything, as he does not give the line to Mark Wilson behind him. That was down into MG. Unfortunately, he still loses some time.
Now Lamberti just coming in. He was not that far ahead of him coming in now, so he surrenders the lead. Going to tuck in and probably third.
I don't know
maybe
about that,
not.
because Jackman is very close.
Although Jackman may need to stop as well.
Yeah, I believe Jackman still has to make his final stop. Yeah, he still, I believe, needs to make that. Well, yeah, I think he does.
But Booth has been in, so here comes Booth. He's already made that final stop.
Yeah, it should be Lamberti
accelerates
and
away.
Booth.
Booth's got him, though. Booth up into fourth overall. In class, rather, I should say.
Oh, Booth got balked a little bit, did not get a good exit. He's got Gerard right behind him as well.
Gerard obviously in a hurry to try and make up some time on the leader. Now, sounds like Christopher Sherburne had a bit of an off there a moment ago. He's in the GT1 class. Gonna guess that was in the Southern Loop. No, actually it was in Doohan of all places, and it was in front of our overall leader. Actually, this is a bizarre incident with Sherburne. I'm going back and watching the replay on my screen. He just almost, but not quite straight-lined turn one into Doohan. I have no idea what happened there. It didn't look like hardware failure. Let's see if we can see the replay as he works his way around the very outside of MG. Here we're going to see it. Down the front stretch there, you can see Tinsey closing on him. Should have had an easy inside pass if he wanted it. And then Sherburne kind of turns and then stops turning. Once again, another car mistaking this for a rallycross race, apparently taking a joker lap on the outside.
Looking for battles in the field here, Joe, and there's really not much going on right now. What I think will be interesting back there, Smitty's class there, Booth has a 7-second lead on Lamberti, but I wouldn't be surprised if Lamberti runs him down. But Lamberti is being challenged by Morrison.
So we bring Lamberti onto the screen. There you can see Morrison stalking him. He's being lapped there by Billy Smith. Sneaks on by in Stoner Corner.
Now Smith is also in a hurry to try to get up to Schuster, who's got about a 4-second lead.
And it shows. He almost overshot the corner. He works his way on the inside of Sklanka, who gives him the line. 15 minutes left to go on the clock. We're in the dying stages. Pit stop should be done for pretty much everyone, so let's go through the order of each of the classes on the podium. Robert Tinsey, still your overall leader. He certainly had to work for it this time through. Jason Girard, we thought he might have a little bit more for him, but bad luck and traffic seems to have thwarted him throughout the race. He's in second. Matt Quinn, a nice podium for him, or is it? He's coming into the pits actually right now, so he's going to hand that over to Kevin Santana. Possibly. Santana's quite a ways back. We'll check in on that after the pit stop. Let's go to GT1. Bill, what's the top three there?
Stephen McGarvey, got to apologize for you not getting a lot of screen time, but you're up there by 20 seconds, doing a great job. Then we saw Schuster fall all the way back to about 5th position, made us back way up to 2nd, trying to run him down, but getting nowhere in the process is Billy Smith running in 3rd. Then we get back to the GT3s.
Yeah, we got John Paquin leading away to Paul Darling. I got a feeling Darling was just trying to do a little scare tactic there. He pushed hard with that strategy, kind of settled in. We got Jackman sitting in 3rd right now, but he's going to make that extra stop, we think, and it should be Ross Booth rounding out your top 3. With the Lamberti-Morrison battle, could end up happening. Right now, it's still spread out.
An update on the Santana-Quinn situation. Santana was easily able to jump Quinn, and he is into that 3rd spot.
Looking at Jackman, he pitted on lap 27. That means he could go to lap 54. That's 4 more laps than now. That's going to be... Maybe he's trying to one-stop this.
I don't know that you could do that quite.
Well, 27, double that is 54. He's on 51 now, so 3 more laps. That's about 4 minutes. I get, boy, that's not going to get there, is it?
Yeah.
His lap times have been at the 29s and 30s, which is about 2 seconds slower than everybody else the entire lap. Maybe he's trying to Rossi this thing.
That'd be impressive if he can. He's got about 11 seconds back to Booth. And with about 13 minutes left, I don't know if that's going to be enough time to stay on the podium for Jackman. Especially if he's 2 seconds off the pace.
I think that's by design. His qualifying time was at 27.3, so he can get it around here quick. He knows how to do it. I think he's pulled a card here to try to do it in one stop, guys.
I love this.
I would not have thought of attempting that strategy. I thought for sure it would be a simple 2-stopper for all the classes. So hats off to Jackman.
That's lap 27, and that includes...
Oh.
Well, it'll be a quick one.
The balloon deflates.
I think they had the crew on the radio go, all right, just wait one more lap. They're going to talk about it here real quick, and then he can go ahead and come in.
Meanwhile, Billy Smith and Schuster. Did Smith just overtake Schuster?
Oh,
I'm going to go back and check here. He did.
Schuster must have made a mistake. Let's
Schuster
see if we
made a
can find
mistake
it.
in MG. It was about 40 seconds ago.
Yeah, not that far ago. Not even that long. It was this lap. So, yeah.
Here we come in.
Yes.
Oh. Lost it in the entry down into MG coming out of Lukey Heights. And the battle is on. This is for P2 in that class. Let's see if Schuster can come back at him. He closes up under braking as they work their way around the traffic of Booth. Now down to 11 minutes to go on the clock. As we ride on board with Schuster, trying to hunt down Billy Smith, driver who used to dominate the GTD class when they had Cadillacs in this series. Hopped over to the GT1s. It was called GTLM last season. Just didn't quite have the pace to really dominate like he did before. Looking much stronger in the last couple races. Looking at a podium finish here. But he is going to have to fight off Troy Schuster to hold on to P2 here with only a few laps to go.
Now, I think Schuster owes him a punt, so just keep that in mind.
They don't keep track of that, Bill.
Oh, do you really believe that, Smitty?
Look at
Wow.
Schuster close through 2.
Looking very tidy through the southern loop. Didn't quite get the same exit that Billy Smith did. I think he squared it off better. And he's not going to be close enough down into Honda. Gets nice and tight up to the rear spoiler, though. Looks a little bit better around the apex. They're going to get some traffic, and that car of Kevin O'Keefe pulls nicely out of the way.
O'Keefe was just trying to get some more views on the stream here, trying to get this fight on view there.
Looking through the timing and scoring, and I think this is the closest battle we've got out in the pack right now, in the whole field. Now what? Did something happen to Omer? Omer is not showing on my timing and scoring.
He's not there. He had worked his way all the way up.
Oh, he had an incident with Ryan Bird. Now, I don't think they made contact. This is bizarre. Okay, we're going to see this coming through the southern loop here. He's going to go side by side with him. He gets squeezed out just a little bit, and then Omer just goes poof. Oh, something we forgot to mention. There is an incident limit, 24 incident limit in this race, and John Omer seems to have hit it.
If there's a way to have something wrong happen, he'll find it. He had worked so hard. I had been watching him. He had worked so hard after he had his problems getting back through.
How far up was he?
I think he got up to 8th,
Yeah.
7th or 8th.
Meanwhile, let's go back to Smith because this thing is getting close.
We'll stay on this battle, but a quick note about Ulmer. He even said in the forums before this race, he said to one of the drivers, they'll start focusing on your mistakes now that I'll get mine out of the way. Well, I think that was unfortunately a poor prediction from John Ulmer.
Hey guys, as we're watching this phenomenal battle here for the GT1 class, we haven't talked about it much, and unfortunately it's because it's the names Billy Smith and Troy Schuster battling it out. But Stephen McGarvey, killing it right now in GT1. We have said basically nothing about him. Good on that guy for leading the way right now. New driver in the series.
He took a second place at Suzuka. We wondered if he could get one step higher at the start of this broadcast. He still has 7 minutes left to do it as we look at our GT1 leader, but it's looking likely for him. Meanwhile, that battle for P2 very much on as it closes once again through the southern loop. Billy Smith trying to hold off Troy Schuster.
And you'll want to come back for the next race because this GT1 class is exciting. Keep in mind that the kind of let the air out of the balloon is when Chase Hudson blew an engine early because he was leading this division, and oh my, that's Reese they get around.
He's not trying to get in the way. Schuster looking for any opportunity as they hit the top of the hill, coming up through the S's. They're going to be into Lukey Heights. Let's see if he can maybe close in under the tricky curved braking of this decreasing radius corner. Not quite enough for Schuster. Now slowing down into the hairpin, bottom of the hill. Car not wanting to slow up. He gets ever closer. He's now within a car length. Schuster using every inch of the track, going from wide to shallow down through the final corner, almost going out of the grass, and he puts 2 into the dirt.
Got traffic just ahead.
That's Slenka. They're going to get around. Both drivers get around, but they're not going to be able to get around Sherburne.
Sherburne pulls to the outside, coming up to the southern loop, tries to give him the inside line. They squeeze through there, but I think he holds Billy Smith up just a little bit, and he does the same thing to Troy Schuster.
Took away corner exit from both of those guys. They couldn't use the whole track.
That's what I like about Sherburne. He's about as fair as they come.
They've got an HPD coming up behind him. I think that's Quinn. It is. He might come into play on this because they are coming up onto the top of the course once again. Very difficult to try and get around cars up here with the way it weaves across the track. Quinn gets by Sherburne. Now comes up to Lukey Heights. Looks like he's going to catch him in the last 2 corners.
Quinn's got a 10-second lead, so he can take his time, find a good spot to do this.
Now coming through turn 12. Quinn should be able to get around the outside, but he decides not to try and risk it, holds it up, squeezes on past down the long front straightaway.
The problem might be Owens and the other prototype.
Owens gets through there as well. Causes Schuster to have to take an unconventional line. Manages to hold on to it though. Another prototype streaming through. That's Tejada. Look at 3 prototypes splitting these guys now.
Oh, and Owens and Tejada are in a battle, so that's a battle for position.
Be careful,
last of the car.
Tejada doing a beautiful job using that Corvette as a pick, and unfortunately Schuster almost got into the back of Owens. Tejada looking to the inside, trying to get a run to get away from Owens. Can't quite find a spot.
Yeah, meanwhile, Schuster's falling back off of these guys now. He's going to need a little bit of help to get back in the game.
That's Tinsey who just snuck by him.
Well, he might get it right here as Owens goes by.
Yeah, he's going to slow up Smith just a little bit through MG. And now it looks like Tinsey has to work his way past Smith. Tell you what, that was a great move by Tejada to get that position from Owens. Very risky, but well calculated. We are now under 4 minutes to go.
Oh, and it's Owens spins in front of your GT1 leaders. But he gets it gathered up. Oh, my. What happened was Tejada came onto the back of Darling and then got checked up. Owens tried to make a move, couldn't get it done, almost lost it.
We're going to look at the replay. It looks like this happened in the southern loop, actually. Yeah, just a bit of a checkup from Darling, causing Tejada to slow unexpectedly in front of Owens. You saw he had to take to the dirt just a little bit.
Thought he was coming around in front of Smith and Schuster.
Those two still within about a second of each other, and they're going to get a lot closer because now they've got Chance Kelly going by, and that really slows up Billy Smith. Here comes Schuster looking for an opportunity. He knows this clock is running out.
And now Darling's going to be Darling in the BMW is going to be a factor in front of him.
When he goes for the move, Schuster looking to the inside, down into Doohan. Patrick Fleming could come into play here. Schuster backs out of it. They've got a slow car around the outside. That's Sidney Thomas. Both of them working their way around.
Oh, man.
Beautiful traffic handling by both of these drivers. Smith held up once again. That's Patrick Fleming getting in the way of them. And look at Schuster.
Where's he going?
To the grass. That is not a lane, and he loses time. Tried to look for the inside coming through Stoner, but there was no inside to be had.
Schuster's channeling his inner Dale Earnhardt right there.
We got to stay on this since it's for P2, but...
look at it, got to run, I think. I said, no, I'm not going to do it.
We'll duck away to the leaders when they get to the checkers.
Let's give a tip of the hat to Fleming and to Thomas. They did a good job of letting those guys by.
Oh, trying for the over-under, a bit of contact. There it is between Schuster and and Smith.
Now it's even.
Should be having the white flag this time by. And unfortunately, that little contact cost Schuster a bit of momentum. He's fallen back.
Tinsey just going through Siberia right now, so got a little ways to go before he crosses.
And Billy Smith really
Oh!
Schuster just closing in at every corner. He's getting desperate. Gets on the power. He's out on the grass again. He tries to hold on to it, keeps it pointed forward, but loses time.
Yeah, I think that was one of those situations where just because you can doesn't mean you should. He's going to get another shot at it right here, though, if he can close up.
Rosenbaum and Pakewood up there.
Traffic getting in the way, bringing it tight together once again. Rosenbaum gets off to the side. I'm keeping an eye on Tinsey. Don't worry, we'll go to him in a second here. All right, one more corner to go for our race leader, Robert Tinsey. He's led 65 of the laps, only one of them he didn't lead. As he comes to the line, Tinsey takes win number 2 of the season. Let's go to Paquin.
Oh!
Watch
that Schuster spun.
Schuster spins ahead of him.
Oh, and Schuster just exited. He ran out of incidents.
But we're still on Paquin, who comes to the line, takes his second win as well this season. Meanwhile, where is McGarvey?
McGarvey's got a long way to go. He just crossed the start-finish lane when Tinsey went across. He's got a long way to go. Just going through Siberia now. But Schuster, I believe, has left the sim.
Here comes Postma. Is that going to give it to him?
I believe
Postma
it will.
up to third.
All these guys are on the same lap. Postma, Chambliss, Peterson, I think, are all going to get there.
And they're a lap down from our overall leader, which means they are guaranteed those spots. Same thing with Stephen McGarvey. Since those guys cannot challenge them, they are technically on another lap. So, now with one more corner to go, Stephen McGarvey, only driver not to get a second win this race. But it's been a wonderful executed win. It was handed to him early on, but he did the rest from there. Stephen McGarvey is going to be your winner in the GT1 class. Let's go and look at that replay with Schuster and see what happened here. It looked like he just overcooked it, trying desperately to get up to Billy Smith at the end. He was right behind him. You're going to see it here, coming out of MG, then into 11. Tricky corners in these Corvettes. Just got away from him. Around he went and off into the grass. There he goes.
And Smitty, keep in mind how many times he put it on the grass that lap. It's probably the third time he put it in there.
Yeah, and that's what I was getting at. He was pushing in areas where maybe he could have just kind of laid back and tried making runs at it. There's not a lot of spots, but oh well, man, it was a heck of a lot of fun to watch.
Oh
yeah, he made it fun, but I feel for the guy. He was fighting hard for that second position. We are going to go to break. We're going to come back with the unofficial results as well as driver interviews. But on screen, you're going to see the upcoming races here on the Global Sim Racing channel, so don't go away. Welcome back to Phillip Island here at the Global Sim Racing Channel, where we just watched round 2 of the Autobahn Motorcar Group Sportscar Challenge. And oh my goodness, it's be difficult to say usually that this was the most frantic race we've ever seen, but I think this one is pretty much up there. Robert Tinsley, amidst all the fray, came out on top and was your winner. He didn't have it all his own way because Jason Girard was pressuring him through much of the race, but Girard still came home in second. Kevin Santana with a nicely earned podium finish in third place. Matt Quinn just off the podium in fourth. Chance Kelly came home in fifth with John O'Day in sixth place. Mark Wilson came home in seventh, followed by David Tejada had enough of his problems today in eighth. Then you've got your winner in the GT1 class. He finished in the top 10 overall. That's how chaotic it was. He finished in ninth overall, winner in the GT1s. Matt Owens in the prototypes once again. He was ninth in his class, 10th overall, Bill.
Then we get to Billy Smith, second in the GT1s, beginning to get his feel for that car, I think, starting to make himself known. Then we get to all the drivers who picked up positions on when Troy Schuster had problems. Brandon Posma, Chuck Chambliss, Leif Peterson all pick up spots 12th, 13th, and 14th. Troy Schuster falls to 15th as he has that incident cap get the best of him. 16th position then goes to Christopher Sherburne, and let me do that in order of where they are on their grid here. That would be, I guess, 7th overall in class. Then I get back to John Paquin, who was able to outduel Paul Darling in the GT1s. Ross Booth picks up podium there, and then rounding out the top 20, 4th in class, Tony Lamberti. Smitty?
After that, and these are going to be all GT3s almost all the way down. You've got Robbie Morrison in 21st, Jim McInnes in 22nd, Robert Jackman 23rd, Sheldon Rosenbaum one lap down there in 24th, Patrick Fleming 25th, Kevin O'Keefe, Rutgers Kevin 26th, David Henry 27th, Ryan Bird, who had an eventful run there in 28th, Sidney Thomas in 29th, and then another one of our GT1 drivers, Sean Reese, in 30th there, Joe.
31st was Robert Sklanka. 32nd, after the incident points bit him, John Ulmer all the way down there. I don't think we expected that to play a factor in today's race. Should have made a note. Sheldon Woloshin finished in 33rd. Dave Hill 34th. Then you've got Mark Jabinski in the prototypes. He finished 35th overall. Behind him, another prototype, Ben Likens, 36th. Tim McLeish, he finished in 37th today. He was in the GT3 class. Same thing with Brett Trocine in 38th. Dino Topic in the GT1 class, 39th. Eduardo Tomede in GT3s, he was 40th overall. Jeffrey Price, these are all pretty much DNFs at this point, 41st. Roberto Montero, 42nd. Chase Hudson, disappointing finish for him. He was last of the starters that got on the track, and he was 43rd today overall. So let's go to our interviews. First up, we're going to talk to our winner in the prototypes. We're used to talking to him at this point, but Robert Tinsley continually having to hold off the threats in this season. Robert, we watched how the race was going for the prototypes pretty closely, including that first pit stop when you came out and you had some contact with Bird, it seems. Did that cause you any damage?
Oh yeah, that was a lot of fun. That was just a great race in general. But yeah, coming out of the pits there, he kind of lost it a little bit on the inside and hit in front of my my left rear wheel. And turning left especially, the rear end would just want to kick out, and then going around the first turn, super high speed, it wanted to kick out the other way. So I just had to kind of lift off in the high speed stuff.
It seemed like traffic was a serious issue for all three classes, a number of battles having a lot of ebb and flow. Do you think that's due more to the length of this track, or is it just the fact that it's so twisty through most of it?
Yeah, I think it's just the nature of this track. A lot of flowy corners coming up into slow corners, high speed to low speed. So it just kind of creates a lot of accordion effects throughout the track. So I think, just pretty much the nature of it.
Now, I can't recall if this is your first race with Girard in the prototypes. What are your feelings on going head with him today?
Oh, he's an alien. The dude's fast in whatever he drives. So I think if you just give him this race or two, that he's just he'll he'll probably just blow me away. He's a really fast guy, so I have my work cut out for me.
Absolutely. A lot of people anticipating to see what it's like between both you, Wolf, and Gerard together. We haven't yet got to see that. This was, again, Robert Tinsey. Thank you for talking to us, Robert. And again, congratulations on your win today.
Hey, thanks a lot, guys.
Robert Tinsey, our winner in the prototypes. Next up, we are going to talk to our winner in the GT3. We have John Paquin, second win of the season for him as well, and Smitty's caught up with him.
Hey, John Boy, another W for you. Good run, man. Pretty smooth. Only one time did you lose the lead. At that point, what'd you think?
Oh, thanks, you guys. I felt safe because I looked at the relative and I did a little quick math and determined that he didn't get any tires, and I grabbed 2. So I knew I was going to be stronger on that last stint.
Oh, you only grabbed 2 tires. What's the thought there on the tires? Front, rear, side? What are you thinking?
I did the same thing I did at Daytona. I made the setup almost undrivably loose in the beginning and wore out the fronts, and I just put a set of rears on later on. So my balance was really, really good later when everyone else was having a handful. My car was the best it had been.
That's definitely a tricky thing to do right there, to have it set up that way. That's pretty awesome, man. Nice job. But the entire time we were looking at you and then Darling, there's a few other faces. There's some new people in the series, including GT3. You think you could have some fights coming from people outside of Darling and the usual contenders?
Oh yeah, Tony Lamberti, is that his last name? He's got really good pace. I don't think he did much practicing. He just came in the room and he was just a few tenths slower. And then, of course, Patrick, he surprised me, too. Once we got in race trim, when I was pushing, I was only leaving him by about maybe a tenth a lap, and so I couldn't rest at all with that.
Next track is Motegi, man. What are you thinking about that?
Love Motegi. Give me those 90-degree flat corners all day long. Love it.
Well, awesome. Good luck to you for sure there, and nice job on the win today.
All right, thanks, you guys. Appreciate it.
That was our winner in the GT3s, John Paquin. We were hoping to get to talk to McGarvey since he's a new guy in this league, and we would love to know a little bit more about him, but he hasn't showed up for an interview. So we're going to talk about another big name in that race at the end. He was fighting for P2, couldn't quite get it. It was Troy Schuster, and he fell victim to the incident limit with just a single corner to go. Bill has caught up with him.
Troy, condolences. I can't give you much advice on iRacing because certainly you have the talent, but if you need a little help adding up incident points, that's something I can probably keep track of for you. Did it catch you by surprise, or did you know you were in trouble?
No, I knew I was pushing the limit, but I was pushing so hard to try to catch Billy, man. I had that stupid off. I just lost the concentration, and it put me off and put Billy in front of me at the end. And I was just pushing like crazy to try to find the time to catch up to him. I thought I was going to get him, and I pushed too hard in the last corner, and I spun it.
Smitty likened you to Dale Earnhardt there, trying to make a pass in the grass. You were pushing the envelopes of the track, weren't you?
Oh man, I was using everything I could in my arsenal, but I didn't know what else to do. It's such a hard track to pass on, and if you make the single smallest mistake, it costs you so much time. So it's critical to try to stay really close to the guy in front and not make mistakes, and I did.
I don't want to spoil it by going negative here, but you got turned around by Billy Smith earlier in the race, and then you gave him a little love tap there at the end.
Yeah, there was no intention there, of course. I mean, it is what it is. Accidents happen. It was a racing incident,
yeah.
But I mean, just trying to get on the brakes so hard. I mean, like I said, I was pushing the absolute limit.
I know winning is fun, but you've got to be excited with some of these new names coming in. It looks like McGarvey's somebody to worry about. Smith seems to have his legs under him again. And then this new guy down there, Hudson, looks like he's fast. You're going to have your work cut out for you.
Oh, absolutely. We've got a great lineup in the GTLM class this season, GT1. It's been a lot of fun so far. It's too bad that Chase hasn't had such a good start to the season, but I'm sure he'll be around later on in the races, so we'll see how it goes.
All right. Well, I personally, as a fan and as an announcer, look forward to seeing how this thing plays out. The GT1 might be the exciting class so far. Condolences again, but it's a long season. Let's make those points up and get back up in the chase.
Yeah, it is what it is. Thanks, guys. Appreciate all the hard work you guys put in.
Troy Schuster, looking for that, I believe, his first championships. Joe?
Yeah, and we have one other driver to talk to, our fourth interview, final interview, but big one. I'm actually pretty happy to get to do this, talking to Kevin Santana, who got himself onto the podium today. A nice run from him. Did you have any help from a certain flying spaghetti monster?
Yeah, he was riding up there with me.
Well, it seemed like you and Quinn had a good battle going on, at least strategically. Were you at all worried in the last pit stops that maybe he'd be able to jump you and get up into that podium spot ahead?
And between my pit stop and his, I was watching the time and kind of seeing where it was going. I knew I had seven seconds on him before I pitted, so I was kind of keeping an eye, make sure he didn't grow too much more.
So in the end, you managed to come out ahead in that third place. Are you kind of thinking that maybe you can do what Quinn did last season and get yourself into the top 3 spots in the championship with something like consistency? It seems like a lot of the prototype drivers are really struggling this season yet again with finishing the races clean.
This was just dumb luck. I mean, I don't know what happened to John at some point. All I know is all of a sudden he wasn't there anymore, and I'm running third.
He had his fair share of troubles, to put it lightly, today. Poor John. We were keeping a close eye on that, and he definitely ran into a few spins along the way. Well, again, congratulations on that third place finish in the number 666, and you think you could repeat this later on in the season? I'm pretty sure you had a few podiums last season.
I had one podium handed to me last season on the first race, and that was all I had. But yeah, I'm hoping to make it a little better this year.
All right, we expect to see you back at least once to talk to us. That's Kevin Santana, third place finisher in the prototypes today. But we're going to close up and thank a few people as we go. Of course, thank you to the official sponsor of this series, the Autobahn Motorcar Group. And as well, thanks to John Ulmer, the guy who puts in a lot of time behind the scenes to organize these races. Thanks to the software and hardware that we use for our broadcast. You can see those listed on your screen. Additional thanks to our musical contributors, Eric Ekholm and Casey Lalonde, whose music you can find also listed on the websites on your screens. Thanks to the team today, Bill, Smitty, Amjad, and Dougie. Special thank you to Adam Young, our spotter for today. Gave us a lot of good information behind the scenes. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, you can find it at globalsimracingchannel.com, along with archived races and upcoming broadcasts. We're also on Twitter at GSR Channel and Facebook at /GlobalSimRacingChannel. Next race, as was mentioned, it's going to be Motegi. I think it's going to be during the daytime this time. They had some complaints about that last season. That'll be Monday, June 20th, and it'll kick off at 9:15 p.m. Eastern. We also have upcoming races for other series on screen, so you can check those out and definitely mark them down on your calendar. We have lots of exciting stuff here on the Global Sim Racing channel. Until that comes, though, until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.